Ladies and gentlemen, the Hammer movies that came out in the early 1970s, quite a different show and a different activity for a lot of the viewers. Now, today we're going to talk about one of the most, unheralded Dracula movies that Hammer put out in the early 70s, but to me, one of the best. Now, Countess Dracula is a 1971 British Hammer horror film based on some of the legends surrounding the Countess Elizabeth Bathory. The film was produced by Alexander Paul and directed by Peter Sasdy, both Hungarian immigrants working in England. The original music score was composed by Harry Robertson, and Countess Dracula was also released on a double bill with Vampire Circus. Now, directed by Sasdy, written by Jeremy Paul, produced by Alexander Pal, starring the beautiful Ingrid Pitt, Nigel Green, and of course the gorgeous Leslie Ann Down. Cinematography by Kenneth Talbot, edited by Henry Richardson, music by Harry Robertson, distributed by Rank, 93 minutes, and released 31st of January, 71. Now, this one in 17th century Hungary, recently widowed Countess Elizabeth Nadasdy discovers that her youthful appearance and libido can be temporarily restored if she bathes in the blood of young women. She enlists her steward and lover, Captain Dobie, and her maid Julie to help with the kidnap and murder of several local girls, whilst beginning a new romance with a young lieutenant named Imri Toth. As a cover for her crimes, while in a rejuvenated state, she takes the identity of her own 17-year-old daughter, Countess Iona, with whom she has Dobie hold captive in the woods by the mute money gambler. However, castle historian Fabio grows suspicious. Eventually, she kills a prostitute named Ziza, but her blood does not restore her like the others. Dobie finds Fabio, who has a book chapter about blood sacrifices, and tells Elizabeth the truth in return for being allowed to live. He reveals that only virgin blood will restore Elizabeth youth and beauty. Elizabeth then kills a peasant girl bought in the marketplace. Fabio tries to tell Toth the truth about her, but Dobie kills Fabio before he can do so. Dobie then exposes Elizabeth to Toth to steer him away from her. Elizabeth forces Toth into marrying her, but her daughter Iona arrives home, having been brought by Dobie as a sacrifice. Then freed by the repentant Julie, who loved her as a daughter. Now, at the wedding, Elizabeth grows old again after a priest pronounced the blessing. And this is a very effective scene, ladies and gentlemen. She tries to kill her daughter in front of the wedding attendees, but accidentally kills Toth instead. Elizabeth, Dodie, and Julie are sentenced to death for their crimes, and are last seen awaiting the hangman in her cell. In the final scene, the peasants curse Elizabeth as a devil woman and Countess Dracula, leaving it open for a possible sequel. Now, Countess Dracula was inspired by the infamous Hungarian Countess Elizabeth Bathory, 1560 to 1614, a landowner and nobleman who was accused of murdering dozens of women and girls, and noted to be one of the first serial killers of the 17th century. Now, again, Ingrid Pitt, Nigel Green, Sandra Ellis, Maurice Denham, Patience Collier, Leslie Ann Down as Elizabeth's daughter, one of her early performances, and Peter Jeffrey. Now, the film opened at the New Victoria Cinema in London in January 71, before going on general release in the UK on Valentine's Day that year. It opened October 72 in the States. Now, all movies retrospectively called the film one of the most underrated films from the later day of the Hammer Films dynasty, and I tend to agree. The Hammer story, the authorized history of Hammer Films, on the other hand, wrote that the film's distinctly anemic bloodlettings failed to lift the rather tiresome tale of court intrigue. Now, New York Times critic Howard Thompson considered it better than most horror movies in a sea of trashy competition, and called Peter Sasdy's direction smooth and pointed with crisp, cutting-edge dialogue until the last act of the film, where it runs out of gas, along with a desperate old woman, Countess Elizabeth. David Peary of the Mountain Phil Bilton called the acting extremely poor. Now, the film is available on DVD from MGM and as a double bill with The Vampire Lovers, and from Carlton, UK, in a box set with Twins of Evil and Vampire Circus. Now, Synapse released a Blu-ray combo pack of this in US in 2014 with a new high-def transfer. In the UK, the film was released on Blu-ray on networkonair.com using their own high-definition transfer. The extras including a commentary with Pitt. Now, ladies and gentlemen, a very underrated movie. You can find it, but Countess Dracula left it open for a lot of sequels, and I love the title. Dracula's Risen in the Grave was the only better Hammer title of that era. Thanks for listening. Give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share. Bye.